Kenny Omega is one of the best professional wrestlers in the world. It's also one of the most intriguing. When you see Kenny Omega on a card, he's someone that you're definitely going to tune into. He's a founding member of All Elite Professional Wrestling. And I remember when that time came, I remember thinking like, man, yeah, I wish he made the decision because it was up in the air, right? Go to WWE or go to AEW, go to this new promotion. And you had Cody Rhodes, you had the Young Bucks. And I understood it. Although I wanted him to go elsewhere. I understood it. And it's been a great run. But now, Kenny Omega, it's time to hear those words, welcome to the big time, when they say your name. Coming up on this episode of Break It Down with Brian H., I'm going to explain why it's time for Kenny Omega to come to the WWE.
No, baby, that's for somebody else. We're just going to keep you right where you're at right now.
It doesn't matter what you think.
The Wrestling Realm presents Break It Down with Brian H.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this episode of Break It Down with Brian H. I'm your host, Brian H. Waters. This show, of course, is brought to you by the Wrestling Realm. Folks, before I get started, y'all know the deal. It's football time. It's playoff time, but it's also time for the NBA, right? And NHL. If you want to save money, wrestling's going to be in town as well. If you want to save money on SeatGeek, use the code Wrestling Realm. Save $20 on any purchase of $50 or more. The subtotal, that is, must use a new email every time you register. So I've used it to go to games, especially the Orioles playoff games. But, but that's neither here nor there. Make sure you use it, and I guarantee you'll save some money. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenny Omega has made his return. He's made his return at All Elite Pro Wrestling, All Elite Wrestling, AEW, right? And I'm kind of excited, but then when I saw Penta make his debut at WWE, I said, man, if only that could have been Kenny. Kenny's somebody and I wrote about this on our Patreon account. Make sure you subscribe. Kenny Omega is somebody who, as soon as you see him, you're captivated. The look, the way he talks, and then his in-ring ability. He goes out there, he has incredible matches. I mean, you talking matches with Pentagon or Penta. You're talking great matches with, obviously, Will Ospreay, Shinsuke Nakamura, Okada. I mean, Omega Okada, a series indeed. But now I'm wondering, what would happen if Kenny Omega came to WWE? We've seen all of this, right? We've seen, what else can he do in AEW? I think that's the thing, right? Sure, the match with Cope is right there, and that's fine. Dream match, whatever. But after a while, it seems like the company is just going in circles. It's like, okay, let's move on. So now I want to see, some fresh blood. I want to see a fresh coat of paint. So I would love to see Omega in WWE. I would love to see Omega in WWE. I would love to see him in a feud, maybe with an AJ Styles when Styles gets back. An LA Knight. I think he could pull out the best in LA Knight. Obviously, the heavy hitters, Roman, Punk, Rollins, give it to us. But I have a few right here that'll really make you think. That's Xavier Woods. Now, we know they're buddies, the video game aspect, all of that, right? But the reason why I say Xavier Woods is in that transformation stage. He's transitioning. And we saw everything that happened with the New Day on the 10th year anniversary and how they became, essentially the biggest heels, Kofi and Xavier. You imagine bringing over a Kenny Omega as Xavier's getting ready to hit that next stratosphere. Imagine Omega being right there with him. I think those two could print money. Because one, we're going to get a main event Woods. Omega's already main event. This will be the feud that people are like, oh, wow, this could be his dance partner. This could be his thing. This could be the feud that takes him to another level. See, we know Xavier got, he got the wrestling skills. We know he got the charisma, all of that. But we have yet to see him get into the main event. Yes, he was the king of the ring. And you hear these things about, oh, well, he doesn't want the belt. All he wanted was the king of the ring. Whatever. I'm not even talking titles here. I'm just talking about a main event program. Because the New Day is on the cusp of something huge. I think this whole thing with Big E is transitioning things to go to another level. And imagine Omega comes over at the time of that, right? Man. And then obviously, like I said, there's the Kenny Omega Roman Reigns factor. Can he, fish with the big dogs? Is he a big fish in a small pond? That's what Conan said. Conan's a legend. And he said this, and this is kind of this is the inspiration for the video. Because I was like, yeah, we've seen him do everything. Now, we saw Cody Rhodes leave AEW and become a bigger star. But let's be real. Cody Rhodes was a WWE guy first. So it's not fair to compare. He is somebody that the company wanted to give this ball to at some point in time. He's a WWE guy first. Now, sure, he had a number of setbacks, but he went out there and proved. So again, that goes back to one of our own proved that they are that guy. But you can imagine like AJ Styles. I think that's just like the best example. AJ Styles, I was looking at the TNA channel. AJ Styles spent so many years in TNA wrestling. We had these what ifs, but then there was always, he's too small. He really doesn't cut great promos. Doesn't have that much charisma, but the wrestling is there. He goes to New Japan, as the real Dwayne Allen said on our Breakout Superstars episode back in 2017. He goes to New Japan. He does his thing, gets the TNA stink off of him. And now look, AJ Styles is that dude. AJ Styles is that dude. So I think now, that was 2016 actually. I think now it's time for Kenny Omega to have his AJ Styles run. We know what you've done, and we appreciate it. And this is no disrespect to AEW. I know a lot of AEW stands are going to say, oh, man, we did. It's no disrespect to him. But what else can he do? A guy like Will Ospreay, as much as we would like to see him in WWE, there's still a lot that we just kind of see him do over there. He hasn't won the AEW championship yet. And then the thing is, like, the universe. The WWE universe is much bigger than professional wrestling fans. Here's why. Because the WWE universe includes professional wrestling fans, but also include people who just care about the story or the WWE theatrics. So you combine those two, boom, you got a star. That's why more people know who AJ Styles was than they did before. I always bring up this example that my son, when AJ Styles made his debut at the Royal Rumble, didn't know who he was. Didn't know who he was. This is Royal Rumble 2016. I get excited. He's like, oh, who's that? Battleground 2016 in Washington, D.C. I spent an entire match looking for those gloves for him because now AJ Styles was his favorite wrestler. So you imagine how many kids would love Kenny Omega? You imagine how many people who just got into WWE again because of Netflix. Those people aren't tuning to AEW. I'm sorry. They're not checking for other wrestling because they only have a small appetite of wrestling on their plate, unlike us diehards. So they may just watch on Mondays. They get the highlights from NXT. They get the highlights from SmackDown. Maybe they'll turn, but maybe Monday is their time. No football. So I was like, all right, I'm going to watch this. So now you bring Kenny Omega to that audience. Some people may remember him from the gaming world, but he bring all of that. Like I said, you will find a AEW professional wrestler fan who knows about everybody that's a WWE superstar. But you will not find someone from the WWE universe that knows about every major professional wrestler. It just doesn't happen. I remember when DDP made his debut. And I was, as a fan of WCW, I was like, why couldn't they do this? Why couldn't they do this? This, that, and the other. Years later in my life, I met people who didn't watch WCW. They didn't know who DDP was. I said, man, I guess Bruce Pritchard was right. Kenny Omega, will that be your legacy? Will only people in professional wrestling know who you are? Or will the WWE universe know who you are? It's time, Kenny. It's time to come to the big time. Ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for this week's episode of Break It Down with Brian H. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, and thank you for all your support. Make sure you remember, I'm going to give you my other show's tagline, because I'm wearing a Breaking Through Glass Ceiling shirt. Do not let anyone place a ceiling above your success. So long, everybody.